Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Q&A portion of this week's Tour Tuesday. My name is Lizzie Gray, and I'm the project coordinator for Connected Lane County. And I'm joined by Celeste Peterson of Palo Alto Software. Welcome, Celeste. Would you like to introduce yourself?
All right. Hi. I don't know what you see, so let me know at any time if I need to adjust anything or you can't hear me. I am Celeste Peterson. My title at Palo Alto Software is Director of People Development, which is basically a type of human resources position that's very focused on the human part, human resources, so hence the people. I've been with the company about 6 years now and moved through several positions at the company. I started in our customer service department, which we call customer advocacy, and then managed that team. And then this position was created a couple of years ago, and I got to move into it.
Great. Awesome. Before we start, everyone, I just want to remind you that by now you should have watched the Palo Alto culture video that Olivia sent out on Monday morning and then again today. It's about 20 minutes long, so unlike the other tours, I wouldn't suggest that you hop off here and go watch it. Instead, hang tight, watch this Q&A, and then go back to watch the video. And as always, while Celeste and I are talking, we can't see or hear you, but type in your questions. Anything that you want to ask Celeste, go ahead and type it into the chat feature, and we have plenty of time, so we should be able to get to every question you have. But I will get us started, just so students can start thinking of those questions. And first and foremost, actually, can you just talk a little bit about what Palo Alto, what services you offer and to whom?
Yeah, so our mission is to help people succeed in business. We're a software company that creates software that helps entrepreneurs and primarily small business owners plan their business, manage their business email. We have our two primary products. One is LivePlan, which is for business planning and tracking, and Outpost, which is for management of shared email inboxes. So when you see a company that has an email address like info@thiscompany.com, they probably have a team of people who answer all those emails. And so we have a product that helps them organize those emails and know who's answering what and when. And then LivePlan has been our flagship product for over 10 years. Wow. And is primarily for initially creating a business plan, but then also continuing to use it to compare your business's actual results to what you had planned. And we really advocate for business owners to be constantly managing their business plan and constantly keeping track of how things are changing and what they need to change to continue to be successful and grow.
Yeah.
We also have some free resources online, like our free website, bplans.com, that is a lot of free content around business planning and managing a business and entrepreneurship.
Oh, that's cool. I kind of want to check that out. What type of career paths do you offer?
Great question, because we really have quite a pretty diverse range of positions in our company. We, even though we're called Palo Alto Software, we exist right here in Eugene only, and all of our operations are happening here. We have everything from software developers, as you might imagine, but also people doing sales and business development and customer service, like I said, and marketing. We have our own IT people. We have DevOps and what department am I forgetting? I don't want to forget anybody. And so right now we don't have positions open, even though normally in the summer we do like to host internships and usually college interns. Once in a while, we've had a couple of high school interns as well. This summer, with the pandemic and all of us working from home, we've paused our internships, but we really look forward to bringing them back as soon as possible. And we're not hiring as we normally were pre-pandemic right now. But so we normally have had some kind of positions open constantly. So it's the first pause we've had in a while, but we'll be bringing things back soon.
Good. That actually leads really nicely into a question I had for you about an intern. You all took an Elevate intern, 3 years ago, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And you've since asked her back for the last few summers. And so I'm curious what it was that kind of inspired you to bring her back.
Basically, the team she worked with, she works in our web development team. They wouldn't let her go. And she just, what it was, I think, is she really dug in. Mm-hmm. She was really committed to the work. She learned really quickly. She spent the time at the beginning just learning as much as she could, to the point where she started doing real work. She was really contributing a lot of productive time to the team, even though she was doing, a few hours a week. She was accomplishing projects that we would have had our full-time employees doing.
Wow.
If it wasn't for her. So she was demonstrating value to the company, and we were also able to provide a lot of good real world learning experiences for her, and we loved that.
Yeah, I had the chance to talk to her just a few weeks ago, actually probably a few months ago. I lost track of time, but I know that internship has impacted her incredibly.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a win-win situation.
That's great. So you mentioned that you're the director of people development, and you kind of compared that to a human resources role. Can you highlight any of the differences in your title and your job description, or is it pretty much just human resources with a better name?
Interesting. I do like the name of it.
Me too.
It's so people focused, and I think that the job description, a lot of it is the same as your typical human resources position. I manage the processes around recruiting and hiring, performance management, and training, and our company is really focused on its people, and because we really and company leadership really believes that you can't make good products if your people aren't happy and thriving and love their jobs. So yeah. I'm also there to help cultivate the company culture that you may have or will hear about in the video. That's really my, what's near and dear to my heart is that culture, and making sure that we continue to develop that culture, because it has to be intentional. If you're not paying attention to how things work in the company, and making sure that the decisions you make and the way you treat people is aligned with the type of culture that you want to have in your company, then it'll change over time. And so you have to be intentional and cultivate that. And so I'm there to, just be there for anything that anyone experiences in the company, and they want to speak up and get the message to leadership, or ask me how they can make things better, or they have a concern about something they saw, or they have questions. If they
Yeah.
don't know who to go to, they can go to me,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll talk, and I'll either try to collaborate with them to help solve problems, or help them figure out who is the right person to talk to,
Yeah.
or just help learn how one team is doing something and share tips about that with other teams, and make sure a lot of communication is happening across the company, even though we have been growing over the past few years. We're over 70 people
Oh, wow.
now, and so the closer we get to that sort of 100-person
Mm-hmm.
milestone, the more you need people making sure that communication, you're over communicating everything, because there's a lot of people that
Yeah.
get information to and from.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of my favorite quotes from the video was, oh geez, and here we go. Something about, if you don't create a culture, culture will create itself.
Yeah.
And I totally think that speaks to needing to be really, really intentional, that you're creating and maintaining the culture that your leadership wants.
Yeah.
And I was blown away towards the end of the video, as you all talked about kind of, how you hire. So how intentional you are about hiring the right people to maintain that culture, but then also just the perks that your leadership provides for employees.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. So, I mean, for those who haven't seen it, I'll just highlight, there looks like there might be like a stipend to go to the gym. You guys reimburse for any books, any literature, paid parental leave, which I love the word parental and not paid maternity leave.
Yeah.
3 weeks of PTO starting out, which is unheard of. Your kid-friendly office, and you support your employees by offering them standing desks and paid volunteer time, and yeah, just some really, really awesome benefits.
Like I said, if the people aren't having a good time and loving their job, then when they do, it filters into everything we do. The products are better. We can treat our customers better.
Yeah.
When you call a customer service line and you get someone on the phone and you can tell they hate their job,
Mm-hmm.
you don't get as good a service as you do when you talk to someone. You can tell they enjoy what they're doing, and they're there to help. And leadership really practices what they preach too. That's one thing I love about the company, is that it's not just we're not just saying that, we're not just saying family friendly. The CEO actually brings her kids to work too, so nobody feels like it's like, well, they say I can bring my kid to work, but we actually have, like, when we were working in the office, we had kids in the office frequently, especially on no school days, and we had like a video game area for the kids. Board games and art supplies, and it's a common thing. So it's not just allowed, it's encouraged.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you know if the company was founded on those principles, or is that something that it's kind of evolved into?
Absolutely, it's been at the core of the company culture. From the stories I hear, the company's been around since it was founded in 1988. So, and by the same owner that we have now.
Wow.
And I can tell, as someone who just came into the company 6 years ago, I can tell that's all of that's been really hardwired into the culture. Just a lot of fairness, and a very reasonable sort of management style, where we don't micromanage. Employees are really empowered to make decisions.
Yeah.
Really respected as people who are experts at what they do.
Yeah, I heard that highlighted a lot too in the in the video.
Yeah, no, it's really true.
It's a great balance. I love too, though, that you did mention that although you value all of your people and you pride yourselves in transparency, it's not a democracy, and you do have strong leadership, and that's for a reason. But that you still value transparency and all voices.
Thanks for pointing that out. It's true. There's a difference between, you might hear about companies in, especially in tech in Silicon Valley, where, they experiment with sort of a flat structure where like there's no hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
There's not really any managers. It's like,
right.
Cool. Although that hasn't worked for us. And so we do have, we empower management too with the authority to say, hey, I'm responsible for the success of my team. Therefore, I want to hear everyone's ideas on the team.
Mm-hmm.
And then, there's going to be a lot of different ideas, and sometimes people are going to disagree. So I'm going to make that final decision. And I find that usually a team appreciates that. They appreciate having a strong leadership.
Yeah.
And I will also say, I can go on and on about our company culture because I love it, but also I'll be totally honest, like any company, there's always things to improve.
Right.
And so we're very honest and aware of that. And managers, speaking of managers, they're very crucial to allowing leadership to be in touch with what is actually happening on the ground, in each team, and knowing if things are actually going as well as we intended.
Right.
And they help implement things and keep that communication going back and forth.
That's great. What do you look for when hiring new employees? I saw some of them listed, but maybe you could highlight some of the things that in an interview you're looking for.
Yeah, and I see a great question in the chat too about entry-level positions, and so these are good questions. Again, culture is central to things, and so we're looking for people who align well with the values that we talk about in that video I shared, and that's why we make that video so accessible to, on our website.
Right.
So if someone applies for a job, the first thing they get is an email with a link to that video saying, watch this, make sure that this is the type of company you want to work for. And we look for people who are comfortable with the type of autonomy that we have. Like I said, we empower employees to be able to make decisions, do their job their own way. As long as they're bringing about results, they have a lot of freedom to do things their own way. And that can actually be uncomfortable for some people. When you show up on the first day, you don't necessarily get an instruction book at our company. So there's a lot that you have to figure out. You have to, have curiosity and the drive to learn things on your own, and ask a lot of questions and do research on your own, and bring things to the table that that you've gathered yourself, and not necessarily have a lot of direction. Also be comfortable with things changing a lot. We'll just find something that works better than the way we were doing it before, and we like to try to be really agile and just go with that. And so if you like a lot of predictability, sometimes that can be uncomfortable. So it can be hard to determine in an interview process if a person is that kind of person. That's tricky, but we do try to ask a lot of questions about related to those things, and ask people to bring information to us about specific things they've experienced in the past that will illustrate to us that they're comfortable with those things.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think sometimes we forget too, and maybe even younger people just forget that you're also interviewing a company. Although they might be asking you the questions, it's really important when you go into an interview and you do research on a potential employer that they are the type of company you want to work for.
Yep.
It's 8 hours a day.
Yeah. In every interview, and like I say in the video, we have several phases of interviews that a new hire goes through. But at every phase, we always ask, what questions do you have for us? You're interviewing us, find out if we're a place where you're going to be happy. If you're not happy, you're probably not going to be successful, Yeah. And so, that's, I think, good advice for anyone who's going to be job interviewing is really research the company.
Yeah.
Because the first question we almost always ask in an interview is, what do you know about our company so far?
Yep.
So dig through our website, and absorb the things that are there, and maybe even try the products for the company you're interviewing for so that you can speak to what they do. And come to those interviews prepared to discuss what you know about the company and also why those things make you want to work there. Because we're not looking for people who are just looking for a job. We're looking for people who are looking for a job with us.
Yep.
And we have, as far as entry-level positions, I would say, either the internships are a great way to get started with the company, and we often end up giving full-time permanent jobs to some of our interns after they graduate. We want them to finish school first. And also, a lot of people start in the company, like I did, in the customer advocacy department. It's a customer service and technical support team. And so it's actually turned out to be a great place for people to start. And then people have moved from that team to almost every other team in the company. And what they learn doing customer service and tech support is really valuable in all those other positions because you learn so much about the product and the customers.
Can I ask what the requirements are for that position in the customer advocacy?
I would say that all of our positions, we prefer people with a college degree or equivalent experience. So if they have a lot of work experience, that counts too. But they're, even though in a lot of companies, customer service is, sometimes doesn't require as much education or experience. Most of the positions in our company are pretty, they require a pretty advanced amount of just professionalism, experience, communicating and collaborating. We really appreciate people who have the ability to jump in and learn really quickly, and also work together really well, especially, well, on all teams, but I'll say just from experience that in the customer advocacy, they definitely work as a unit because it's impossible for one person to know everything about all our products and all our services. And so they have to back each other up and constantly be communicating and collaborating. But it's the same with development. Our engineers are always working together, making sure that they're not duplicating efforts, or that they're working on the right priorities, that their work is aligned with the company's priorities. There's a lot of planning meetings, and also departments like customer advocacy or our business development and sales, they're constantly communicating with the product team and the developers about what our customers need, because they're the ones talking to the customers and hearing about what really solves their problems or what problems they might be having with the software. And so there's constant communication. Did that answer your question? I probably got on a tangent.
No. That answered the question. Yeah, so I heard preferably a college degree, a lot of the like characteristics and personality traits you're looking for. And do they have to be incredibly tech savvy or familiar with using your software? Or is that something that can be learned on the job?
I'll say to begin with, no, although it's more complicated than that, depending on what type of position you're talking about. Now, if we hire a software developer, sometimes that can be kind of an entry-level position. Sometimes we'll hire someone on the junior end of experience for software development. They probably have a computer science degree of some sort, and they're just getting started in their career. And so a college degree is great, but also we'll look for experience we want developers who have been curious to do projects independently. So a lot of them will submit to us their resume, but also a link to, a GitHub account that has examples of code that they've written for, they made their own video game, or
participated in Code or Create.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was there. Code
yeah,
or Create.
You were.
Or in marketing, say, they'll look for people who have done their own things, like started their own blog, or tested the how many hits they got on certain social media posts, or they're testing out keywords and things like that just shows some initiative and curiosity to learn.
Yeah, that definitely answers the question.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a follow-up to the entry level. What would you recommend for high schoolers interested in working for a tech company? So I heard a little bit about what they could do, and that's to kind of start tracking some of those individual projects they're working on. What else?
Get involved in things like Code or Create, or hackathons, Hack for a Cause. And, if you're a gamer, that's great. There's a lot of people who come to us with a lot of great experience that they gained gaming, or building their own games, or any type of apps that they were just passionate about and wanted to try out. What else? One of the advantages of some of those events I mentioned is the teamwork aspect. When you get involved in things like Code or Create, you gain experience that you can put on your resume that shows that you have experience working with other people, and your project is dependent on not just you, but a team of people. And if you don't communicate with each other, you're not going to be as successful. So teamwork type events like that are really great for that reason.
Yeah, that's a great point. Looks like the last question from that student is, in the video you mentioned that some people struggle having a lot of autonomy at work. Are there ways you recommend figuring out what type of work environment is best for me, or does it require some trial and error to start?
Great question, Olivia. Thank you.
That's a great question.
I have to think about that a little bit here. So you're talking about figuring out what type of work environment is best for you. You might have some ideas on what type of environment you're attracted to. And I think you should explore that. And then also there are some things that may surprise you. And so you really have to learn by trying, learn by experience. I tell you, I made a lot of changes in my career before I got to Palo Alto Software. I worked in a lot of different environments. I worked for nonprofits. I worked for small businesses. I worked for a large corporation.
Yeah.
So I never imagined myself being a director of people development at a software company. And that takes me back to, you asked about technical savvy. I also have never written code. I wouldn't call myself a super tech savvy person. And you know, when it comes to our customer advocacy department, your soft skills are more important than your technical skills, because we can teach you technical skills.
Right.
We can teach you how our software works. You know, we can teach you some things about business planning. I mean, that's what our business is. We teach people about that stuff. We want people who have the qualities that are harder to teach, like those, you know, being able to collaborate and communicate, or just have empathy and compassion for people. And, you know, because we're a people-focused company, and we're focused on our customers. And so we want everyone in the company to care about our customers' experience and our coworkers' experiences. So yeah, trial and error. I mean, just go for the things that you're attracted to now. And if you get a job and you're there for a while and it's starting to feel like you are dreading getting out of bed in the morning and going to work, don't be afraid to be honest with yourself about that, and explore and look for something else and try something else. Yeah, I'm glad that sometimes there were jobs that I was really glad I left. So
I think many people share that feeling.
Yeah,
or have at some point.
Yeah, I think everyone has. You know, and especially when you're young, sometimes you do have to, you got to work, and there aren't a lot of jobs available. So you might have a job you don't like for a while, but at some point it is good to take that scary leap and try to start something new.
Yeah, especially in a totally new industry too.
Yeah.
That could be a huge leap. Galaxy A10E would like to know, is there a dress code employees have to follow? If not, what would be acceptable for them to wear?
Good question, Galaxy. So we do not have a dress code. And I think that's common in the tech industry. And I would say that there's a really broad range of how people choose to dress at work in our company. Some people are super casual, and we don't have a lot of in-person customer interactions, so it's not like we're presenting ourselves physically to our customers very much. But then say our business development and sales team, they do a lot more webinars and video conferences and things, and so they'll present themselves a little differently. But overall, it's quite casual, as long as people are just, you know, tactful and respectful to the people around them, and you know, they can be themselves. Right.
Would you say though that there is a line of like wearing something that's appropriate versus professional?
Yeah. How you dress, even if you're wearing t-shirt and sweatpants every day, I mean, how you show up to work does, I think, bring about sort of an ambiance of how you feel about work. You know, like do you feel like this is you know, you're there to get the job done, and you're there to you know, put your best foot forward. You certainly don't have to wear a suit to do that, but you know, if you are clean,
I was about to say,
and you take good care of yourself, you know, that's the kind of people we want. So yeah,
I was gonna say, it's one thing to show up in jeans and a t-shirt if you've showered, and a totally other thing if you're wearing the t-shirt you slept in and some jeans. So I've heard you mention a lot of professional skills. I heard adaptability, empathy, collaboration, communication. But what would you say the top 3 professional skills your team uses daily?
What's the word? It's very important to be very flexible or adaptable.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, things can change really quickly, and so if change is hard, you know, and it is. I mean, change is always hard for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
For some people, they feel most comfortable in an environment where, you know, like I said, that's more predictable. If you are more a person who's kind of excited by change, and the challenge of adapting, you know, constantly adapting to new changing environments, then our company and, you know, maybe the tech industry too, I think, you know, technology changes so fast that to be in the tech industry, it's important to be adaptable. That is one. I would also say empathy. You know, I always try to combine empathy with compassion as well, because you can be empathetic, meaning you're pretty adept at noticing how other people feel or what they're trying to say.
Emotional intelligence.
But then to follow that up with also a caring nature about, you know, helping people. That's what our mission is. You know, it starts with helping people succeed in business, and so being a helpful person, a compassionate person, and someone with the empathy to sort of get inside the software user's head. That's important too, whether you're doing customer service or engineering. You know, it's important for the people making the product to understand the person using the product and get into their head and imagine what it would be like for you as a business owner to be using this software. That's two. I think you asked for three.
I did.
So I'm keeping track. Then that curiosity and drive to learn that I talked about is important too, because things are changing so rapidly in technology and also just in the business world, especially now. Businesses are going through so much and having to adapt so much to things like, you know, restaurant owners are figuring out how to keep their business going when they can't have as many people, serve as many people in their brick and mortar restaurants. So people are getting really creative. Yeah. And so that's adaptability, but it's also just, you know, that drive to keep learning.
Yeah.
And stay, you know, listen to podcasts a lot, or read the news a lot, or you know, whatever it is, however you get information about what's happening in the world, that's important too.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I threw out, everyone listening, I threw out a last call for questions. I have one more here that I'd like to ask Celeste, but if you have anything else, now is the time to submit it. So Celeste, I think I would end with just asking, what about Palo Alto Software makes you most proud to work there?
Ooh. I love my job, and I love it because it allows me to have the kind of to have an impact on other people. I think, you know, I'm a part of something bigger. The company has a mission that I value. We're making an impact on the economy. You know, when we help businesses, in that video you heard me say a rising tide lifts all boats. It's really true. When we help one small business, it helps their whole community. when I'm able to help one employee in our company, it helps our whole company.
Yeah.
I get to be involved in things like, we give grants to local nonprofits or help them use our software. We do a lot of volunteer time with local nonprofits. And so I get to spend my work time doing that,
Yeah.
which is really cool. And it makes you feel like your job means something, and you're having an impact on the world. So that sounds kind of romantic maybe, but it's true. And
Yeah, if it's true, then it still counts.
yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm really grateful for the company and for the type of work I do and all the people I work with. So I hope that this inspires you all to learn more about us, and when you're on the job hunt, to think of us, and even reach out to me personally too if people come up with questions after this that they'd like to ask. I'm very open to hearing from you all.
Yeah, I'd be happy. So go ahead and submit those questions to either myself or Olivia, who have been emailing you, and we'll be sure that Celeste sees them.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time today. I know I learned a lot, and I'm assuming everyone on here did as well.
Yeah, I hope, I'm happy to do it. Thanks so much, everybody.
Absolutely. Tune in next week, folks, for a tour of Strapworks, which is a local manufacturer. And then on Wednesday, we will have Resume Building 101. Actually, that is tomorrow. I am mistaken. Join us tomorrow for the Working Wednesday, which is Resume Building 101. And next week, it's Career Search tips and tricks from a woman at the county. Amazing. So we will see you all either tomorrow or next week. All righty. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.